What happened? Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez just wrapped up on the co-main event of the Times Square mega card, with many wondering how Devin was gonna look after getting beaten up pretty bad by Ryan Garcia in their fight. However, with all of the controversy surrounding that fight and the loss getting overturned, it was a question to see if Haney's confidence has returned, but it didn't really seem like that was the case. This is the harsh reality of Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez.
But before we get into that, we're Punch Talk going to bring you daily combat sports videos, so if you enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to help support the channel. So Devin Haney finally made his return after about a year out of the ring on the same card as Ryan Garcia, trying to build for that rematch. Both guys were in there with supposed stepping stones, at least they were meant to be going into the fight. Obviously, Ryan Garcia ended up losing to Rolly Romero in that main event, but Devin Haney did come back, and not in the great fashion. I felt like this really wasn't the same Devin Haney that we've seen from old. It seemed like a much more tentative, a much more careful Devin Haney, and already he wasn't the most aggressive guy. He wasn't the guy who was always on the front foot pushing the action, but I felt like before he would open up, he would put pressure on his opponents. Maybe he didn't have the hardest hands, the heaviest blows, wasn't able to do the most damage to guys, but regardless, it was just the skill, the IQ. Devin Haney in the past was making everyone look silly, besides maybe some guys like obviously Ryan Garcia, Vasily Lomachenko. That was a very close fight, but other than that, when you look at what Devin Haney did to the likes of Regis Prograis, where he dropped him and he cruised to pretty much a masterclass, even in that Ryan Garcia fight itself, Devin Haney was much more aggressive than we've seen in this fight. And yes, he did win a unanimous decision, but it just isn't that same Devin Haney, and I feel like that's a problem. Even with Ryan losing against Rolly Romero, it's a completely different style. Devin Haney doesn't have that same danger that Rolly presents, for example, and sure, Haney can box on the back foot, but this fight was very lackluster, not too much action. And I know Devin Haney has been criticized so much in the past, especially for some of his lackluster performances, but overall, as for his career as a whole, I felt like he was a bit overhated for his style. He did what he could, but in this fight, it just really didn't come together that well. Sure, he won, but it definitely wasn't a standout performance by any means.
Yeah, and I think just the word to describe Devin Haney's performance was just purely lackluster. And I think honestly all the questions was answered from the lead up, from the press conferences. It seemed through all that lead up, his father, Bill Haney, was trying to hype him up and give him the confidence after getting his first loss against Garcia. Regardless of it being overturned, he was still in that moment. He still got dropped like 3 times in that fight. And from being an undefeated fighter, a guy that's never been in that much trouble, it does make a big difference to your psyche and wondering if you're still the top guy, the top dog. But in this fight, it just seemed Devin Haney was totally hesitant, didn't want to engage at all at any moment, was just moving against the ropes side to side constantly. The whole fight, very low output, and that's really not what you want to see after a fighter getting beat like that against Garcia, and in a fight where he's supposed to be displaying his skills against a guy in Ramirez who is a pretty good style for him, at least in his older fights, what we've seen from Haney, to be able to put on a good showing and pretty much dominate, kind of like what we saw Teofimo Lopez do in his fight. But that was not the case at all. It just seemed like he was very gun shy, maybe didn't want to get caught again like he did against Garcia. And if true, like we saw, and his confidence is shot right now, it will still take some time for him to get back and be the Haney of old and be confident, be on the front foot and attacking, not worried, not scared, moving side to side constantly. And honestly, it might take him a few more fights of getting in the win column to fully feel back like his normal self. He's still a young guy, so I don't think confidence issues should be a problem throughout his whole career. But again, just being an undefeated guy and then suffering in the moment defeat that badly is definitely going to do something to you. But just in general, everyone was looking Haney to put on an emphatic performance. Didn't mean he had to stop Ramirez. Of course, Haney is not known for having the hardest hands, and many people like to say that he's pillow-fisted, but regardless, he still could have put on an incredible performance, fully outboxing Ramirez and showing levels, but that was just not shown in this fight at all.
Yeah, and also I feel like a lot of the criticism comes down to them saying, Bill Haney saying, Shane Mosley in this camp saying that they've fixed Devin Haney's power. Devin Haney is going to stop Jose Ramirez. He's going to put on a masterclass. He's going to destroy him. And then you go out there and you kind of just jab on the back foot. Don't do too much. Aren't too active. It was very reminiscent, if I'm honest, of kind of Shakur Stevenson-esque fight in those performances, like against Edwin De Los Santos. And I feel like this is the kind of style where I don't feel like Devin Haney was in so much danger. It's not like Jose Ramirez is in his prime and such a dangerous fighter. He was fighting pretty much like he was fighting Ryan Garcia, like so cautiously, trying to just pitter-pat decision win this fight, which is what he ended up doing, but it just doesn't put on the statement that this fight was meant to be. This fight was meant to be a warm-up, and obviously Devin Haney isn't necessarily going to go in the fire and start trading tit for tat and put on a dog fight, because his skill set and attributes don't really play into that as much as just pure technical boxing. But I feel like we've seen much better performances than this from Devin Haney, and especially in a time where his career is kind of under scrutiny and he's criticized a lot for lackluster performances as it is, and to even add fuel to the fire with potentially one of the worst performances of his career here against Jose Ramirez in a fight where I feel like you said, this was kind of a tailor-made style for Devin Haney to make Jose Ramirez kind of look silly in there, make him miss, make him pay, and that's not really what we saw too much. Devin Haney really didn't make him pay too much. It was kind of a chess match, but even Jose Ramirez just was not impressive in this fight. He didn't bring it to Devin Haney like we thought he would, or like he probably should have if he wanted to have the best chance of winning this fight. And obviously that is a little bit down to Devin Haney's movement, Devin Haney's mobility, how good of a technical skilled boxer he is, being able to get out of the way. But in a statement needing performance, in a time where Devin Haney has to put on a show, his last fight he got hurt pretty badly. It felt like Devin Haney was just so cautious and kind of just very timid, which is not what they promised. They promised Devin Haney was going to go out there as a completely different version of himself. They said Shane Mosley completely changed his power, and that's something they were really talking about and enforcing going into this build-up. And to put on a performance like that just doesn't meet expectations as to what they're saying. And honestly, Devin Haney's skill set can produce. I've seen him put on much better performances than that, and I feel like if he did fight to the best of his abilities on a best given night, I feel like he could have really made Jose Ramirez look like an amateur out there, but instead he was kind of just getting dog walked and kind of just winning a pretty lackluster, boring decision.
Yeah, and online, the Devin Haney hate train has really been going crazy, coming off that Garcia loss and then overturned, and now coming off of this lackluster performance. People are really quick to hate on Haney, and it seems like Haney and his dad are even trying to play the villain role as well and play into it. But if you want to come back from all this hate and put it to bed, put all the questions about your last fight getting dropped multiple times, then you have to put a performance out there that's showing you're a level above, which is not what we saw. I'm sure soon Haney will be able to get back into his rhythm a little bit more, and we'll see him against some top competition. Maybe we'll see the Garcia rematch as well. But as of right now, it's just not too good of a streak for Haney. And for his next fight, people are really going to be looking for him to put on a statement and be able to fight a level above than just putting on a performance where he's walking around the ring using his footwork while only throwing a jab here and there, very low output, and not seeming like he wants to end the fight at any moment, and more like he's just cruising to a decision completely. But with the Garcia rematch having been set up, if both of these guys won their fight, and now with Garcia losing and Haney putting on a boring performance, it's really a question if they're still going to go this path in this direction. How much interest really is there for this fight right now? And honestly, it just seems like they messed up badly by not making it right away and instead giving them tune-up fights with the possibility of losing, and that's what happened for Garcia. So if that rematch doesn't happen right now, maybe Haney will go back to 140, try his odds there again. In a division we've seen him gain belts, do great. But for Haney, there's still a lot of options. It's not like he lost the fight by any means. More just a boring match and nothing that he can't just bounce back from regardless. But let us know down below what you thought about Devin Haney's performance versus Jose Ramirez. And if you want to see more about the Times Square card, be sure to click on the screen. We need to talk about Garcia versus Romero.